Welcome back. I'm Dan, and in this lesson, we're going to go over 15 everyday English phrases. All of these sentences are 4 words or less, and I'm quite confident that all English speakers use them almost every day. We're going to go through each one and talk about when it's used, and we're going to pay close attention to how each one is pronounced, not just the actual official pronunciation, but how you will hear fluent English speakers say them and how you can say them to sound more fluent, natural, and confident. The first one is good morning. Good morning. Now, good morning is something that you can say when you first meet somebody at the office or really anywhere. Good morning. Fluent English speakers will say, good morning. Notice how good is a very, very short and quick good. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's almost said as one word. Good morning. The good is so short that many fluent English speakers will drop it altogether with just morning. Morning. Good morning. This is something that you'll hear and say all the time. The second one is I'm Dan. This is a way of saying your name to somebody that you're meeting for the first time. You don't have to say, my name is Dan. You can just say, I'm, and then insert your name. Most fluent English speakers will just say, hi, I'm Dan, or I'm Dan. Other English speakers will know that you're referring to or that you're saying your name. The third very common English sentence is, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. This is all said rather quickly with nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. You could also say pleasure to meet you, but in most conversations, it's perfectly acceptable to say nice to meet you. The fourth common English sentence is, hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Yeah. Hi, how are you? This is something that you can say differently depending on who you're speaking with. So if it's someone that you've met before, but you're not very familiar with them, you don't know them very well, you could say, hi, how are you? You. Hi, how are you? Now, if it's somebody that you're very close with, someone that you know very well, you could say, hey, how are you? So, hey, instead of hi, it's a more familiar version. Hey, how are you? You becomes ya. Hey, how are you? So, hi, how are you? Would be with somebody that you know, but you don't know very well or very closely. Whereas, hey, how are you? Is used with somebody that you're quite close with, somebody that you see all the time, somebody that you know very well. Our next common sentence is actually an answer to that question. Fine, thanks. Fine, thanks. Fine, thanks. You could say, fine, thank you, or good, thanks, but just simple 2 words. How are you? Fine, thanks. I hope you're enjoying this lesson so far. If you are, please hit the thumbs up and leave a comment letting us know which of these you find most helpful or which of these you've heard before. The next one is, what are you doing? What are you doing? However, fluent speakers will say, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? This is just asking what you're doing at the moment, what you're working on. What are you doing? This is a great way to start a conversation, and many people will start a conversation with, what are you doing? The next one is on my way. On my way. If somebody reaches out and asks where you are, if you're expecting to meet with them, what you would say back is on my way. Or what you would text back is on my way. On my way. On my way. Are you gonna meet us at the theater? We're all here. I'm on my way. The next one is, it's all good. So this is something you would say back to someone if they've shown concern for you, if they have expressed or said something like, I'm sorry, or I really wish that didn't happen. A very common response and a way of making them feel better is to say, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. To say it quickly would be, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. The next very common English sentence is, I think so. I think so. If someone asks you a question and you're not quite certain about the answer, but you believe you know, or if they ask you a question like, is Sarah going to be coming to the meeting? You could say, I think so. I think so. Put together and said quickly, I think so. I think so. I think so. I think so. You could also say, I don't think so. I don't think so. Don't is the contracted form of do not. So I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. The T really isn't pronounced as a hard T. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. The next one is, let's do it. Let's do it. So if somebody asks you if you're up for going to lunch, if you want to go to lunch, or if you want to get together after work, or if they ask you if you want to do something, you can say, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Should we carpool to the cottage this weekend? Let's do it. Yes, let's do it. I want to take a quick moment to remind you that you can use the link in the description below to download our free PDF worksheet on 12 strategies or 12 things that you can do to improve your English. We've put down our 12 most important things you can do to make steady progress in your English, and it's completely free. Use the link in the description below and input your name and your email address, and we will send it to you completely free of charge. Back to the lesson. The next one is very, very common, and it's a polite way of saying yes. And it's simply, yes, please. Yes, please. If you're ordering food and they ask, do you want fries with that? Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. Another way of saying this is for sure, or absolutely, for sure, for sure, absolutely. If you don't want something, you could say, No thanks. No thanks. Yes, please. No thanks. No thanks. No thanks. Another way of saying no thanks is I'm good. This is very common and it's very casual. You're saying that you're good without something. I'm good. No thanks. I'm good. The next one is be right back. So this is common at work. If you're in a meeting, someone may put in the chat of a meeting, BRB. That means be right back. I will be right back, or I'll be right back. But people drop I will. They'll drop I'll and just say be right back. So if you're doing something and you have to go to the washroom or you have to go get something, you could say be right back. And it's understood that you're going, but you're coming back. You're going to come back to the group. Be right back. Be right back. Be right back. Finally, the last one is see you later. See you later. See ya later. So you becomes ya, see ya. See ya later. And the T in later is almost pronounced as a D. See you later. See you later. See you later. See you later. Thank you for watching, and thank you to everybody who has subscribed and liked and commented on our videos. It really means a lot to us. So thank you. And until next time, keep learning and we'll talk soon.